Hello everyone, happy garden days. Today we are looking at the plants on the property that are living heirlooms, which means they have been growing here for generations. We're also looking at some troubled areas in the garden that we can improve. I think that with your garden or your property, if you live in the city, you should try to give it a nice country feel. I mean, that's what I like to achieve. Everyone has different styles that they prefer for gardening, and I have very fond memories of both my grandmother's properties out in the country and being stuck here in the city. And I apologize to anyone who lives here in Columbus. It's a busy place. When I was younger, I loved it. I loved the vibe downtown. I loved going to the malls. I loved being out and about and even driving on the busy freeway. But not anymore. Now I just long for that country life. So we do have a little property here, and I'm trying to achieve that. I'm trying to use what we already have growing, and it saves money this way. We use what we already have growing in the front and backyard and just maintain it, take care of it, to keep it around for more generations to come, for people who purchase the house after we're gone, or whoever inherits the house. So that's important. And but the troubled areas are a big problem. We're going to talk about that also. And so it's the good and the bad, the ups and downs, but it all comes together, and take it in stride and enjoy it as much as you can. These are tiger lilies that grow kind of wild out in the country. So this definitely gives a country feel to the property. And mixed in with it, we have the garlic chives. Now, when the garlic chives are in bloom in late summer, the bees dominate all through here to gather pollen from the white flower that comes from the garlic chives. And you still have these leaves here, but by then the tiger lilies are died down. But it's just beautiful to watch. And I've got to remember this year to take a picture of that. And on this side of the house, this is the back of the house towards the right, we have some more tiger lilies in this section of the yard. And I remember seeing tiger lilies on my grandmother's farm. And as we were driving out to the country, I could see them along the roadside. And they are truly a reminder of being out in the rural areas. So you can bring a little bit of the rural area flowers into the city. If you know someone that can give you some wild tiger lily bulbs or plants, it's a good plant to grow. And here we have an azalea plant that was planted here in 1999. And it blooms every year from early spring to mid-spring. The flowers are actually very small, but here is a close-up of an azalea in full bloom. The blooms are dying down now, but it's still very pretty and attractive. And this is in the front of the house. And right next to the azalea, we have a rose bush that I trimmed down and pruned. Now you can see the before. Now you see the after. It was out of control. You know, the roses their branches have thorns. It was coming out here to where the mailman walks on this walkway. I did not want him to get hurt. I needed to prune it down because last year I didn't prune it. I pruned up a few branches, but this year I pruned it down to a reasonable size that will promote healthier growth of the leaves and rosebuds. Last year we did not get very many blooms. It only bloomed once. I'm hoping this year to get multiple blooms. And the flowers that were on this when it was real high and out of control, I put those in a vase on the kitchen table. Actually, I put them in a pitcher because that's the only container where they would fit, along with the leaves, and that's just a beautiful table setting with those roses. They smell really good. These are tea roses that we are growing here. And this rose bush, it was here when Danny moved in 1999, so we don't know how old it is, but we're estimating it could be around 30 years old, and it's still doing good. We have a hosta that's just as old or older also. He believes that when they planted it, they didn't realize how big it was going to get because they planted it right next to a drainage pipe. And it was probably real small then. and then it just grew over the years, and it's humongous now. We look forward to seeing this every year also, and it does grow bloom some flowers, but this is grown for the plant, the way the plant looks. These are 4 o'clocks. They're just now sprouting up. They're little plants right now, but they will get very big, and these multiply like crazy and produce red flowers that are red and pink flowers that are beautiful. And this will cover all through here. And we need this look for the summer. So those 4 o'clocks have been here since Danny moved in also. He estimates that those might be as old as 35 years or 40 years old. Of course, we have the raspberry bushes, which have been here for generations. They migrated from the neighbor's yard. At first, Danny only had a few shrubs coming up. I started watering them because they were dry looking, the soil was dry looking, and they migrated, and we have even more now. And the neighbor gave me some that I transplanted over here. So this is an heirloom also from the neighbor's yard. And as you can see in the neighbor's yard, they have plenty of raspberry bushes coming up. They are starting to bud off. They have budded off. You see the blooms. You have some that are still in buds, and then you have some that are starting to produce berries. And they're real little, and there's stickers on these. These are not thornless raspberries. I would love to buy a thornless raspberry bush, but they're expensive. I'd like to get one marked down somewhere if I can. The oak tree that overlooks the house has been here 74 years. It almost looks like it's trying to attach itself to this property and never let go. Now, Danny said when he moved in, the evergreens were very small. They were right around his height, he said. They were very small, and they have really taken off. And they are actually bushes that are growing out of control. They do offer wonderful privacy from the neighbor, so we don't have to put up a privacy fence or anything, and that is very nice to have that privacy. And the birds just love the evergreens. We have a cardinal nest. We see lots of other birds, blackbirds, and lots of squirrels climbing up there on the evergreens. 3 years before he moved in, they were planted in the mid to late 90s. And look how tall they are. They may have been purchased from someplace like Oakland Nursery, and they were real small, and look how tall they are now. I don't know how tall that is. It's hard to estimate. And here is the front of the house. They were all bushes right where these pavers are that I carried over here myself, using a wagon, of course. But there were nothing but evergreen bushes covering here, and they were really high, and we couldn't even see. If we looked out the front door, it was really hard to see cars going down the street. They had just taken over, and there was ivy growing underneath. We still have a problem with it's not the ivy that gets out of control. The ivy doesn't bother me, but it is the poison ivy. And the stickers and weeds in particular. Look, that sticker needs to come out. So this is a problem area. It's still a problem area, but it looks a lot better than it did when those bushes were here. You couldn't even, it was hard to see if I looked out that window. I could see over the bushes, but the bushes were leaning against the window. They made it dirty, filthy. I had to clean that window. So it was a problem. The bushes were not very attractive. So I definitely want to weed this. I think it was the year before last year when we had the bushes taken out. But I have a lot of weeding to do. And I wanted to put impatiens through here. That is very expensive. They need to be marked down. Something needs to be marked down. Some kind of perennials that are marked down that I could plant through here, because I've got to load the soil, and that's expensive. Also, if you have any ideas for me, please let me know. What can I do that is very economical, that will look nice here? It has to be for shade, because we have the oak tree shading this. So what can I grow that's affordable, that is a shade-loving plant that takes off, you know, like the ivy, but I want it to produce some flowers. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Of course, there's always hostas, and that might be what I do. I might do some hostas because they're a shade-loving plant. But over here we have daffodils that were planted upside down, and they never bloom. Now, daffodils They can bloom in shade in the spring before the trees bloom out because the sun shines through the branches. So that would not be a problem, but someone planted the daffodils upside down. I could just take these out, I suppose, because they don't produce a flower and they're kind of a nuisance to look at. They're really not that pretty. I have the same problem out back and it looks terrible. I need to dig them up. You know what? I probably should just dig them up. This is the most embarrassing thing I need to show you, and disgusting. It really is. These are daffodils that were planted upside down. Every year this comes up. I can trim them down. I should dig these up and remove the leaves, and we need to compost those leaves for the garden because they make wonderful compost. I got to be careful because these are spring flowers. I'll just cut these down. These are spring flowers, hyacinth, that come up every year. But these right here, no. We do have one hyacinth. I'll leave that in the ground. I believe one. But this is a mess that needs to be cleaned up. This is the zucchini garden I'm getting ready to put out. And we are going to extend this all the way across to grow pumpkins and butternut squash. We have something that looks like a pitchfork, and I'll tell you the proper name of it. But this is what I use to dig up grass clumps. I was going to get a tiller, then I found out it kills way too many worms. We want worms for the gardens. So this is the way I remove the grass clumps. And I'm doing it by hand. Whatever garden you see here is going to be by hand. I'm working myself. If I need to hire someone to help with this, we will. I'm making good use of the soil that we already have to save money. This is from the ground up gardening because I start with the bare earth and I put back nutrients into it by natural means using kitchen waste. Coffee grounds, eggshells, vegetable skins. I've been doing that and it has really worked wonders. And the leaves too. The composted leaves. And it has worked wonders for this garden right here, which is going to be the zucchini garden. And I plan on growing some zinnias and maybe some other wild flowers and around in between the zucchini. I'll show you the problem areas that I worked on and the progress I made back in the vegetable garden that I'm tilling with the broad fork. And talking about broad fork, I used a broad fork to dig up the bulbs that I thought were planted upside down. Here's a bulb that I dug up. And I dug up several bulbs. They were grouped together and they were planted, like a pear shape with the roots downward. See the point? This is the right shape. So the point was towards the sky. And they planted them correctly. So I'm thinking they had been in the ground so long that eventually they stopped producing flowers. That's all I can think of. I want to show you what I did and what I accomplished, and I didn't get everything done. And you're not expected to get everything done in one day. Especially if you're an older adult like me, you want to pace yourself. And if it takes 2 or 3 days to get a project done or even longer, just take it with a grain of salt because it will get done eventually. And perseverance is a good thing, but you don't want to wear yourself out. So I went inside and took a long nap after I did all the broad forking and digging. Out front here, where all this ivy is and the bushes used to be here, remember the daffodil leaves that were sticking up? I dug them up with I loosened the roots with the broad fork, which is like that pitchfork I was using, and then I finished it off and uncovered the daffodil bulbs with the shovel. I also went through here and with a broad fork and loosened up several weeds. Mainly they are dandelions and some other weeds and stickers. That's not finished. As you can see, I still have several more. And I like to loosen the soil through here, and don't think I can use too much of this soil, but I'm going to be putting bags of soil. This project's going to be put off until probably midsummer. We're in the backyard by the house. For the daffodil, they were growing leaves, but they were not growing flowers. But I was able to dig them up. Here's what it looks like now cleared out, and we'll decide what we're going to do with it. So we have like a clean slate to work with. So this is very nice. Then out back, I was able to get some more tilling done with the broad fork. Yeah, but I'm going to be planting the zucchini. Today is May 15th, so I'm going to be starting the hills, and I'm trying to use some of that soil there, but I think I'm going to have to use the topsoil. But next year, I'm hoping I can use less and less topsoil and compost manure. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope I inspired you to look in your yard and see what shrubs or flowers or trees or plants you have that might be living heirlooms. And you can research it online too, because I've been studying it. And try to maintain those if they look good and they're not dying. Try to maintain them and keep them on your property, and so they look good, and so you don't have to spend a lot of money to replace them with something. It might be totally unnecessary. They just might need some maintenance. They might need trimmed out, like the rose bush needed trimmed out. And the tiger lilies, I always go through and weed around the tiger lilies and keep them in good standing. I don't know if that's the right expression to use. To keep the tiger lilies healthy and thriving, I want to keep the weeds out of there, just so we can keep those plants around for quite a while. And I'll also be weeding the raspberry bushes. I do that every year also, so, to keep, because you don't want too much like that mint that takes over, and I love that mint, but it really, really is a very invasive lemon balm, and it's around the roots of the raspberries. You don't want too many weeds and other wild plants growing around your heirlooms, your living heirlooms, because you want to keep them around for generations. And if they produce fruit or flowers, that makes it even more special. God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you on the next one.